This is an appeal to educators. The gap. In my experience, and the experiences of people I know who are like me, there's a glaring gap in how we support young people through their journey. This gap doesn't necessarily exist in the path through public school or even through the experience of adulthood and college. It exists in the transition between the two. We spend so much time, energy, and resources trying to help students plan their future before they graduate, and we send them out the door never to be heard from again. We hope they have it figured out enough, then kick them out of the nest and act as if there's nothing we can do for them after that. For the rest of my life, I'll urgently point out that this isn't true. There's always more that can be done, more that can be said, more that can be saved for future reference, and more that public schools can give us outside of the standardized material. This gap exists in the support we could provide for freshly graduated students through something as simple as access to knowledge that could help them as they figure out adulthood. Plenty of resources are out there just waiting to be found, and I believe that schools should be teaching people how much is available to them if they can find it. There are guides to picking your college major, guides to the college journey, free online courses teaching useful skills, and low-cost online colleges, all of which exist on the internet and are accessible anytime. There's opportunity cost to us failing to teach the most fundamental rule of the modern age. Look it up and it probably exists somewhere. The knowledge is out there waiting for you. Outside of just that, I believe in the responsibility of people, not just in mentorship roles, but all people, to document their knowledge and pass it down so that society can build upon it. Families, communities, and social groups can inherit and improve it. It doesn't matter how basic that knowledge may seem, it's valuable to somebody, and everyone has to start somewhere. My most genuine wish is for the educational world to understand this one thing. You can always do more. There's always a way for schools to be making a bigger impact. If you believe that with me, I hope you'll listen to the rest of what I have to say. The map. There's a world in which all schools actively support their students after graduation by sending them off with a comprehensive set of resources, information, and advice, all sourced for the sole purpose of providing guidance post-graduation. There's a world where this is a staple as a built-in section of every public school's website. Every student is aware of it, and everyone who knows about it has access. Then, there's a world where only certain public schools with certain levels of funding feel like they have a chance of truly impacting the lives of their students positively. Unfortunately, it seems like we live in a world more similar to the last one described. I posit that we could live in a world similar to the first two sooner rather than later. With simple and efficient effort, we could bridge the gap. We could set up an ecosystem in which there's a smooth transition between the end of childhood and the beginning of adulthood. We can provide a map to those who feel lost and a compass to the wayward. But you might be asking, how? If a school wanted to do this, I believe the first phase would involve rough sketch ideas of the end result, while collecting data on incomplete parts of the knowledge that students tend to leave high school with. As students move up into their upperclassmen years, and even before that, we could go directly to them for answers, as well as to teachers and administrators. We could administer anonymous Google form questionnaires asking them what they feel school has most and least prepared them for as they venture into adulthood for the first time. We can ask students whether or not they would see it as beneficial to have built-in guidance leading them to resources that teach about certain things pertaining to adulthood and the college/workforce journey. To set up future connections with alums, we could ask students for their personal email addresses around graduation time and disclose that the intention of doing so would be to conduct further surveys of the same nature. I feel this approach could be the most efficient way to source data that feeds us what we need to know. the specifics of how far and wide the gap truly is. I believe that while yes, having experts in the field of education is excellent, having those experts means almost nothing if we don't also consider the students' ever-changing stance. I believe that students are a significantly underrepresented population, and plenty of good could come from simply asking them what they think about things. I believe we should ask students as they graduate what their school could be doing better. After all, aren't some of them future teachers and administrators? We might be surprised at their answers, and just how much the morale of students could be boosted by knowing that their school is making even the smallest effort to listen to their voices. Every day, they listen to their instructors. They listen to their administrators. How often do those same instructors and administrators take the time to return the favor? Mileage may vary. Phase 2. The second phase of this process could look like many different things. Building a resource based on where the gaps in students' knowledge appear to fall could become a project dedicated to each graduating class, or it could be started with one class and passed down to the next. School websites could adapt to this process and house valuable information, advice, and resources on a dedicated page. Each school could vet and curate its own treasure trove of resources and advice, or neighboring schools could work together for our community's ability to thrive alongside each other. This resource could look like an index of information linking to nonprofits that provide their community with resources through charity, informative videos and websites, self-sourced advice columns, motivational content, and more. It could even be hosted on a Notion site like the one linked in the description of this video to the script. This would allow schools to add this content to their website without needing to account for a large amount of increased bandwidth. All they would have to do is assemble the content on Notion and post the link. No matter what form it takes, the central concept is this: using our time to build a roadmap to adulthood for the people being thrown into it for the first time. I know there are people out there who would say that it's either the parent's job to guide after graduation, or that at that point, the young person in question should take responsibility for their own life. However, parental guidance is a vast spectrum, and I believe we should do what we can to provide resources to the people who need or want them. I agree that an adult is responsible for their own life, but that doesn't mean that the people tasked with preparing them for that responsibility can take the onus off themselves to put as much thought as possible into how we can further their ability for success. The final question. What would happen if one school in our area decided to proudly hold this value of truly listening to the people it serves? What would happen if one school in our area started supporting its students just a little extra? Then another school asks itself, how can we take that framework and improve it? Just as information gets put out and passed down, so can the inspiration of caring beyond expectation. I believe a movement could be started by supporting the freshly graduated people of our community. A movement that would result in more individuals feeling ready to tackle the challenges of early adulthood. A movement that would be a significant first step in ensuring that as few people as possible feel lost after graduation. It's my goal to get this concept to whoever will listen in hopes that other people out there may feel the same. I hope that there are educators and administrators who feel the same. This idea doesn't have to be executed through the school system to be effective either. It could be just as useful without that stamp of approval. It's just a matter of this resource being built and people knowing that it exists for them. My goal while writing this is to communicate the idea and hopefully get at least one other person on board with the notion that building a resource like this would be one good way to support the young adults of our communities. So, I leave you with this question. What wisdom do you have to pass down? What information do you wish to give to the freshly graduated? To the young adults who feel unsupported or lost, what resources do you wish to guide them to? What do you feel they need? What advice do you wish had a platform to exist on? And finally, are you willing to do something as simple as share your answer? That's all it would take. People sharing the information they have to give, then allowing it to be organized and used to further the chances of our next generations to find success. And all of that is square one.